I guess I have some bad news. We thought everything was ready to go. It is not ready to go. It's a 50-year-old boat and we're trying to restore it. So the engine's working, the exhaust is working. I even got the tachometer going. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. But now, the latest thing is the generator decided to fail. And specifically, it's the heat exchanger. The heat exchanger is leaking, so there is no more air conditioning, there is no more AC, and everything is focused around this generator. So when it goes, everything goes. Let me show you the work I did on the tachometer. The tachometer is behind this panel right here. There's the new instrument panel. So it's got new glass and there's a new tachometer you can see in there as well. So all I did was take out the old tachometer, put a new tachometer in, and then I put new glass in because the old glass was cracked. Now onto the generator. So the heat exchanger is right back there. It lays in front of the generator, and I've got my hand back there and found the leak, and it's the heat exchanger itself that's leaking. It's not a hose. So I've got to get all 4 hoses off in that tiny space and get the heat exchanger out. Hopefully it comes out. Anyway, but that's what I'm going to be working on. There's really not a lot of room, but you start by getting your hand in here, and there's not really even anything to film. As you can see, it's just too tight to do anything. So that's going to be what I'm working on. When I get the thing out, I'll let you know. I have to do all of this by feel. I can't see anything back there. I've gotten 2 of the hose clamps off, and I've got 2 more hose clamps to go, and there's a strap that goes across the top of the heat exchanger to hold it down. And I have to get that strap off. I tried with various screwdrivers and nut drivers and finally figured out that it was a bolt. It's hard to feel some of these things with just your fingers sometimes, but it's way back in there, and I need now a nut driver with about a 3/8 inch. Could be 5/16. Not sure, 5/16 or 3/8 inch. So I'm going to take apart the tool area and get my drivers out, and we'll see if I can get the bracket apart first. And then once I get the bracket apart, I'll see if I can move the heat exchanger around enough to be able to get the hose clamps off. 2 more to go. I managed to get the heat exchanger out from back in there. It took probably about an hour and a half of work trying to get the hose clamps off and figuring out where they went. But anyway, it is off. And right here is the leak. But that's the problem right there. It's just corroded through. So now the question is, can I build that back up, or is it so thin that it's going to bust out someplace else? So I have to take this apart and get it cleaned up and then back in there. The brackets that held it upright are all gone. So I have to also figure out how to get it in there solid so that it will stay. I guess that's enough for now, and I'll get back to you once I start getting this cleaned up. I think I can repair it good enough to get out of here.
I'm going to start cleaning this up a little bit and see how bad it really is. But I suspect I'm going to have to replace it. Oh yeah, it's really bad. Looks like it was still pretty clogged with some of those black things. Pieces of broken impeller. I don't know if you can see inside here, but there's more impeller pieces in there. Guess I didn't get them all out. And there's more in there. Wow, a lot more. Wow, guess I didn't get them all out. Look at that. There was supposed to be a zinc in here, and the zincs help prevent corrosion. Let's see how far gone this zinc was, but I suspect that it is completely gone, or this wouldn't be this badly corroded. Looks like it's only corroded on one end. Well, hard to say, but it looks like the zinc was not completely gone. Well, maybe it wasn't. There was some of this zinc left, but not a whole lot. It was pretty well gone. I think I might actually have a zinc that'll fit in there. There is an opportunity, I suppose, to weld this back together. There was a drain over here on this end. most of the holes go all the way through. Still some more pieces of rubber in there. I think I'm going to try and weld this. I'm going to clean this up and see if I can get somebody to weld this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give this a good acid bath, and then we're going to try and weld it. I have a piece of copper nickel, and it's almost the right size, but it's not the right size. So that's kind of a pain. That would have been nice, but a lot of these you can actually get the core out and you can clean the core and then put it back together again. This one you can't disassemble. It's all put together as one piece. So the core is welded in here, and all you can do is take the caps off to clean stuff out. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this out, I'm going to acid bath it, we're going to clean up this little weak corroded area, and then we're going to put it back in. Okay, this is the end of the zinc. That pink stuff is dead zinc. So I'm going to dig all this out, and then I'm going to put a new zinc inside here. They screw together. There was a zinc in the boat that looks like it might be the right size. There were some others, like these, that are not the right size. I'm not sure what this one goes to. I'd like to find out, but I don't know. Ah, look at that. It appears to be going in. No, it's not. It's the wrong size. They are pipe threads. They're not machine threads. But I guess what I'm going to have to do is take this down to the chandlery and get some zinc that will fit in that end. It'll look something like this. I found something as I was cleaning up this heat exchanger, and I don't know if you can see it or not, so I'm going to try. But if you look right around that joint, you'll see some dark gray stuff. Now, I flaked a lot of that off, but that's what's left. So this is a very old repair, and somebody JB welded it. That is JB Weld. When they JB welded it, I think they replaced the bolts on the end cap, because those are brand new, and all of the JB Weld flaked off. But interestingly enough, they JB welded it, put it back together, they didn't even replace the zinc. So this is a case of trying to unravel what happened, 50 years ago on a boat, or at least 25. That's about when this thing went in. I don't even know if it was used when it went in. For all I know, this was a used generator. But this is a case of the right tool for the right job, and this was not the right job. And so it all flaked off, and when it did, it started leaking. I have to decide now whether we're going to re-weld that, but with the JB Weld all over it, that's not going to work. So we got to grind that off before we can JB weld it. Anyway, we have to grind off the JB Weld before we can weld it or braze it properly, because obviously that's going to contaminate the weld. Might be better just to get a new one at this point. So that's also on the list of possibilities. Hey guys, I'm just trying to get all the corrosion off of this thing. Lots of wire brushing, trying to get it ready for welding. Clean up around this. I got all the old JB Weld off. I'm down to some of the original brazing. Mostly I had to pick it off with a screwdriver, and there's still some of the corrosion that takes a while with a brush, but you can just flake it off with a screwdriver. I've got a friend of mine that's a welder. He's going to TIG weld it. I think we're going to do that tomorrow. I just got to get it cleaned up for him. Oh, I got a zinc that fits. It's 3/8 pipe thread. I had to cut the end of it off. It was just a little bit too long. Found it at West Marine, of course. That fits in there just perfect, and I don't know if you can see it hanging down in here. That'll fit in there just fine, and now I know I have a standard size. The old one, the threads, I couldn't get one with good threads to go in there, so I had to buy a new one. The thread size on the zinc was wrong. Anyway, I just have to finish cleaning this up so we can weld it. We'll see how the acid bath works tomorrow. I'm going to do that in the morning, but I want to just cleaned up as much as possible before I do that. And I think I'm going to take a wire brush to get the rest of this paint off. It comes off pretty well, but it takes a while, and I don't know that I want to take the time to do all the paint this way. I have a wire brush for the drill. I'm looking for that.
but there's the progress for now. These are the end caps. That's the outside. There's a little O-ring that goes here, and then this sits on there like that. I'm just cleaning these up, getting the scale off the edge. So anyway, cleaning up the end caps. Okay, so I've been working with a wire brush on this, and you can see what I've got going. I've got all the paint off. I'm down to bare copper and bronze, and it's looking pretty good. So we'll be ready for welding tomorrow morning. By the way, by a wire brush, I mean this. Well guys, I'm ready to start putting it back in. So I put some copper right here all the way around that joint, and then it's not the prettiest job in the world. I soldered it together with a high temperature silver copper solder, a brazing rod basically, and some MAP gas, and that should be good enough until we can get a new one. Now I'm going to put it back in there. It's about 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to keep working. Catch you later. And that, guys, is the sound of a working generator. These are the end caps that I'm working on. Anyway, we'll be done with those in a bit. GoPro, stop recording.